Let me tell you something real quick. Life ain't always gonna treat you kindly. You think the world is gonna wait on you to get it together? No, sir. Life is not patient, and it sure ain't gentle. It's gonna throw storms at you, break your heart, test your spirit, and try to mess with your mind. But you know what you gotta do? You gotta stand tall. You gotta get up every morning, look yourself in the mirror, and say, I ain't folding today. You can't let your emotions drive the car. Feelings come and go. They're like guests. They don't live here. You feel sad? That's fine. You feel hurt? That's human. But don't you dare let that sadness chain you to the floor. Don't let that pain write your story. Your story ain't supposed to be one of defeat. You are made to rise, not crumble. See, too many folks let their emotions turn them into weak versions of themselves. They surrender to pain, let sorrow become their identity. Let loneliness convince them they're not worthy. Man, listen, you're worth more than your bad days. You're stronger than your weakest moment. You are not built to break. You gotta start living like that. You need to develop something that not many people have: emotional discipline. That means when your heart feels heavy, your mind gotta be stronger. That means when the tears start falling, your purpose needs to speak louder. Don't just cry. Get up and do something about what made you cry. Don't just sit in silence. Let that silence teach you how to move, how to grow, how to become the version of yourself that no storm can shake. Now let's talk about being alone. So many people run from solitude like it's a curse. But I'm gonna tell you something. Learn to be by yourself. Learn to enjoy your own company. Because if you can't sit with yourself, how are you gonna stand in front of the world? Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen in silence, not in noise. And when life shuts that door, when it removes people, when it leaves you with nothing but your own reflection, that's when your real training begins. You gotta treat loneliness like a gym. It's where your mind gets stronger, your soul gets tougher. It's where you learn what you're really made of. Because once you master that silence, once you know how to walk through pain without needing someone to carry you, baby, you become unstoppable. Now I know life's gonna hit you with setbacks. I ain't gonna lie to you, it's gonna hit hard. There'll be losses that shake you, failures that embarrass you, moments when you wanna quit so bad your bones ache. But guess what? Every champion you admire, every strong person you look up to, they've been through that same fire. The only difference is they refuse to bow. They made pain a classroom. They made heartbreak a stepping stone. And you can do the same. You gotta start believing this one thing: nothing has the power to break you unless you hand it the hammer. No failure, no rejection, no loss, no betrayal. Nothing has the right to shatter you unless you allow it. You were built for more. You were born with purpose in your bones and greatness in your breath. So next time life tries to bring you to your knees, you tell yourself, I don't kneel for weakness, I'll rise from it. Next time you feel like quitting, you say, I'm not today. I've come too far, been through too much, and I still got more in me. And let the world keep watching. Let them wonder how you keep going, how you keep shining, how you keep standing when everything else around you is falling apart. That's when you'll know. You didn't bow to your emotions, you rose above them. And that's where true power lives. Let me break something down for you real quick. Your emotions will lie to you. Oh yeah, they'll tell you it's over when it's not. They'll whisper in your ear that you're not enough, that you can't go on, that you're finished. And if you ain't careful, if you ain't disciplined, you'll start believing that nonsense. You'll start making decisions based on how you feel in the moment instead of what you know deep down in your spirit. See, feelings come and go like the weather. One minute the sun is shining and everything feels good. The next minute it's storming and you don't even want to get out of bed. That's just how emotions work. But here's the deal. You can't let those temporary feelings make permanent decisions in your life. You gotta be smarter than that. You gotta be stronger than that. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you quit. Just because you feel hurt doesn't mean you give up. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you back down. You wanna make something of your life? You wanna go somewhere with your dreams? Then you better learn how to keep your emotions in check. Because emotions unchecked will wreck everything you're trying to build. That's the truth. Think about it. How many people ruin opportunities, mess up relationships, destroy progress just because they let their feelings take the wheel? You can't let your emotions drive. They can ride in the back seat, they can talk all they want, but they don't get to steer. Now, I'm not saying you gotta be cold. I'm not saying don't feel nothing. What I'm saying is, Feel it, but don't follow it. You get upset? Cool. But don't let that anger push you to say something you'll regret. You get discouraged? That's all right. But don't let that discouragement talk you into quitting something that was meant for you. Life is going to throw all kinds of situations at you, and you're going to feel every kind of way: hurt, tired, broken, rejected. But your job is not to surrender. Your job is to stand tall, hold your ground, and keep walking forward with your head high and your mind strong. I'll tell you what I've learned. Your success depends more on how you manage your emotions than how you feel about them. If you're always reacting, always falling apart, always saying, "I just couldn't help it," you're gonna stay stuck. You'll never see what's on the other side of that pain, that pressure, that storm. But when you learn to say, "Yeah, I'm mad, but I'm still showing up. Yeah, I'm scared, but I'm still moving forward," that's when you start to shift. That's when you step into a new level of power. That's when you stop being a victim of life and start becoming the author of your story. Control is the key. Control doesn't mean you don't cry. Control means you cry, and then you wipe your tears and keep pushing. Control doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you feel it, then you face it anyway. Control means you choose your response, you own your reaction, and you don't let life bully you out of your destiny. Because here's the bottom line. Your emotions are like waves, and you're either going to surf or drown. And baby, you were not put on this earth to drown. You were made to rise above. You were made to overcome. So start learning how to lead with your spirit, not your mood. Lead with your vision, not your feelings. That's how you win in this life. That's how you become unstoppable. Let me tell you something real. Life ain't soft. Life don't care about your plans, your timing, or how hard you've tried. It's gonna test you. It's gonna hit you with situations that'll make you question everything. And that's exactly why you need emotional resilience. Because if you ain't built to bounce back, you're gonna stay down every time life knocks you over. Now listen, being tough emotionally don't mean you gotta act like nothing bothers you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you gotta train yourself to keep going even when it hurts, even when it don't feel good, even when your heart's been ripped wide open and your spirit's feeling heavy. You still gotta move. You still gotta show up. Because emotional resilience ain't about avoiding pain. It's about learning how to rise in the middle of it. See, some folks break at the first sign of trouble. They get one no and they done. They get one betrayal, now they don't trust nobody. They go through one storm and suddenly they think the sun will never shine again. But if you're gonna be great, if you're gonna walk in your purpose, you can't be soft like that. You gotta toughen up from the inside. You gotta build something in you that no storm can touch, no heartbreak can destroy, no failure can shake. You know how you build that? You go through it. That's right. You don't get strong by talking about strength, you get strong by surviving some things. And when life throws that weight on your chest, you push back. You don't complain, you don't quit, you don't start blaming the world. You say, "All right, I see what this is, you trying to break me, but I ain't breakable." And you learn to stop waiting for the situation to change before you feel better. You stop saying, "I'll be okay once this is over." No, you learn how to be okay while it's happening. That's real resilience. That's what makes you different. Anybody can smile when things are going right. Anybody can be motivated when they're winning. But the ones who keep pushing when it's dark, when it's lonely, when it's hard, those are the ones life can't defeat. You gotta teach yourself to bounce. You fall down, bounce. You get hurt, bounce. Somebody lets you down, bounce. You lose money, lose friends, lose opportunities, bounce. That's the game. That's how champions are made. Not by having a perfect life, but by having a bounce back muscle built strong. Let me give it to you straight. If you can't handle pressure, you can't hold power. If you fall apart every time something goes wrong, you ain't ready for the blessings you've been praying for. Because the higher you go, the tougher it gets. The tougher it gets, the more resilience you need. So stop thinking God forgot you just because you're going through something. Sometimes he's just preparing you to carry more than you ever imagined. But he can't give it to you until you're strong enough to hold it. So next time you're down, remember this, you're not done. You're just in training. Let the pain mold you, not fold you. Let the struggle shape you, not shake you. And when it's all said and done, you'll look back and say, that storm tried to take me out. But I came out stronger. I came out wiser. I came out ready. That's emotional resilience. That's how you win even when you're bleeding. That's how you keep walking when you're wounded. That's how you become unstoppable. Let me break it down for you. One of the hardest but most powerful things you'll ever learn in life is how to be alone and still be all right. See, most folks think being alone means something is wrong. They treat solitude like a punishment. But let me tell you something, being alone ain't always a bad thing. Sometimes being alone is where you find your real strength. Sometimes it's where you meet the real version of yourself. A lot of people stay stuck in bad situations, toxic relationships, dead-end jobs, or fake friendships just because they're afraid of being alone. They need constant noise, constant company, constant validation. But let me ask you something. If you don't know how to enjoy your own company, how are you going to expect anybody else to? If you can't sit with your thoughts, how are you ever going to understand what your soul's trying to say? See, when you're alone, life gets real quiet. And in that quiet, that's when truth shows up. That's when your purpose starts speaking. That's when God starts whispering to your heart. But you can't hear none of that when you're always surrounded by distractions. You need that stillness sometimes. You need that space to reflect, to reset, to grow. Now I ain't talking about loneliness that eats away at your soul. I'm talking about chosen solitude. I'm talking about that space where you step back from the world and say, "Oh, let me work on me." That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's where you build. That's where you get your mind right. That's where you find clarity. The truth is, your greatest transformation won't happen when everybody's clapping for you. It won't happen when you're in the spotlight. It'll happen when nobody's watching. It'll happen in your quiet time, when you're wrestling with your own thoughts, when you're figuring out who you are outside of what people think of you. That's when real change comes. You gotta learn how to walk through seasons of silence and not panic. You gotta learn to stand in a room by yourself and still feel full. You gotta know that your value ain't based on how many people text you, call you, or invite you somewhere. Your worth is not tied to attention. It's tied to who you are when nobody's around. And when you master that, oh man, now you're dangerous. Now nobody can shake you. Now when folks walk away, you don't fall apart. Now when you're misunderstood, you don't lose sleep because you know who you are. You've spent time with yourself. You've built peace inside that no one can take away. Let me tell you something. Some of the greatest blessings come disguised in isolation. That season where you feel like everyone disappeared, that's your training ground. That's where you get strong. That's where you sharpen your mind and strengthen your spirit. You stop depending on others to lift you up, and you start learning how to lift yourself. And baby, once you learn how to do that, ain't nothing in this world that can stop you. So don't be scared of solitude. Don't run from the quiet. Embrace it, use it, grow in it. Because that's where greatness is born. That's where you develop the kind of strength that can't be shaken, the kind of peace that can't be stolen, and the kind of confidence that don't need applause. Be so rooted in yourself that even in silence you hear power. Be so solid that whether you're surrounded by a crowd or sitting in a room by yourself, you still matter, you still got purpose, and you're still on your way. That's the kind of strength that makes you unbreakable. Let me tell you something straight from the heart. Pain is not the end of your story. It's not your punishment, it's your preparation. See, too many people go through pain and think, why me? They cry, they break down, they stay stuck. But let me flip that for you today. What if I told you that pain is one of the greatest tools you'll ever have? What if I told you that the same thing trying to break you is actually trying to build you? You see, pain don't show up in your life for no reason. Pain shows up to teach you something, to stretch you, to introduce you to a side of yourself you didn't even know existed. You don't find out who you really are when everything's going good. Nah, that ain't how life works. You find out what you're made of when you're hurting, when you're tired, when everything around you is falling apart and somehow you're still standing. That's where your power comes from. That's where your strength is born. Right there in the middle of that storm. You can either let pain define you or you can let it refine you. You can either sit in it or rise from it. You got two choices. Let it make you bitter or let it make you better. And let me tell you, there's power in choosing a better. Look, I know how it feels to be broken. I know how it feels to cry in silence, to smile in front of people when your heart is torn up inside. I've been there. But you know what I learned? Pain is the fire that forges the strongest steel. It burns, yes, but it builds. It tears, yes, but it toughens. Don't you dare waste your pain. Don't you dare go through all that and come out the same. Turn it into fuel. Use it to push you. Let every disappointment become your reason to go harder. Let every no drive you toward your yes. Let every time someone left you remind you that your journey is not dependent on anybody who walked away. You hear me? Your destiny is yours. Nobody can take that from you unless you hand it over. You ever notice how pain changes you? Not in a bad way. If you let it, it'll grow you. You become more aware. You see clearer. You love deeper. You stop playing games. You start valuing yourself. That's what pain does. It strips away the nonsense. It shows you what really matters. And most of all, it shows you what you're really made of. Now, I ain't saying it's easy. I ain't saying it won't hurt. But I'm saying it's worth it. You got to learn to look pain in the face and say, you don't control me. I control how I grow from you. That's real power. When you can walk through fire and not come out smelling like smoke, when you can survive storms and still stand tall, that's when you become unstoppable. So the next time life hits you hard, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Ask, how can I grow from this? Because if you can learn to turn your pain into power, then baby, there ain't a thing in this world that can hold you back. You'll walk through battles with your head high. You'll carry scars, but those scars will be your proof that you didn't give up, you didn't fold, and you didn't let pain have the last word. You did what strong people do. You turned it into fuel. You turned it into power. And now you walk in it every single day. Let me tell you something that'll change the way you move in this life. Don't you ever surrender to weakness. I don't care how bad it gets, how tired you feel, or how heavy the pressure is. You were not made to fold. You were built for greatness. But see, greatness don't show up in comfort. Greatness shows up in resistance and struggle in the moments when everything in you wants to quit. But you don't. There's a version of you that this world ain't even seen yet. You know why? Because every time you get close, life throws something at you and you back off. Every time it gets hard, you start telling yourself, maybe it's not meant for me. But let me tell you something. That's weakness talking. That's fear dressed up like logic. And if you keep letting weakness call the shots, you're going to live your whole life under your potential. Weakness will try to disguise itself too. It'll sound like excuses. It'll say, you've been working hard, you deserve a break, right when you're about to make a breakthrough. It'll say, and nobody understands you, right when you need to speak up and be heard. Weakness don't always come loud. Sometimes it's real quiet. It just wants you to stop, to slow down, to settle. But you better learn how to recognize that voice and shut it down. Let me be real with you. Every person that ever made something out of their life had to fight through moments of weakness. They didn't get handed strength. They built it. They got up when they didn't feel like it. They kept grinding when nobody was clapping. They stayed faithful to the vision when it looked like nothing was working. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who only dream about it. It's not talent, it's not luck. It's who can keep showing up when everything in them says is sit down. You ever seen a tree in the middle of a storm? The wind is blowing, the rain is pounding, but that tree it don't fall. Why? Because its roots are deep. That's what you need, deep roots. Roots of discipline, roots of purpose, roots that don't shake every time life gets rough. And the only way you grow roots like that is by refusing to surrender to your weaker self. Let me tell you something else. There's always going to be two voices in your head. One telling you to keep going, one telling you to quit, one pushing you toward progress, one pulling you toward comfort. The question is, which one are you going to listen to? Because whichever one you feed, that's the one that grows. So you got to learn how to talk back to your weakness. When it says you can't, you say, oh, watch me. When it says you're not strong enough, you say, I've come too far to turn around now. When it says take the easy way, you say, easy don't build empires. You hear me. You got to get aggressive with your purpose. You got to protect your drive like it's gold, because it is. Don't let a hard day convince you to give up on a destiny that was built for you. Don't let temporary pain rob you of permanent blessings. You're going to feel weak sometimes. That's human. But feeling weak and being weak, that's two different things. Strength ain't about never feeling tired. It's about what you do when you're tired. And if you can learn to keep moving through weakness, you'll become someone that nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop. You've got something in you that's bigger than the struggle you're facing. So don't bow, don't fold, don't shrink. You weren't built to break, you were built to win. Let me tell you something right now. You are unbreakable. I don't care what's come against you, what's tried to knock you down, what people said about you, what you lost or what didn't work out. You are not broken. And more importantly, nothing out here in this world has the power to break you unless you hand it the power to do so. See people out here giving away their strength like it ain't nothing. They go through something tough and the first thing they do is fold. First rejection, they shut down. One heartbreak, they never try again. One failure, they start believing they're a failure. Listen to me. Life is gonna try you, but you don't have to let it define you. Life might test your patience, your faith, your strength, but it can't take any of that unless you let it. And here's the truth. Most of the stuff that breaks people, it didn't come from the outside, it came from inside. It came from inside. They believed the lie that they weren't enough. They believed the hurt more than they believed the healing. They gave more power to the pain than to their own potential. But you don't have to live like that. You got a choice every single day. Let the world make you smaller or stand up and remind the world who you are. Let me ask you something. How many times have you made it through things you thought were gonna take you out? Huh? How many times did you feel like it was over, like you couldn't take another hit? And yet here you are, breathing, standing, maybe crawling, maybe limping, but still here. You think that's weakness? No, that's proof that you're built different. That's proof that no matter what comes, you've got something in you that refuses to die. You are not glass. You are not some fragile little piece that breaks the moment it's dropped. You're steel. You've been through fire, and you still shine. You've been through storms, and you're still standing. You've got scars, yeah, but those scars ain't shame. They're stories. They're reminders that you faced some of life's worst days and survived. Now, I'm not saying stuff won't hurt. Oh, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna cry some nights. You're gonna feel like the weight of the world is sitting on your chest. But don't confuse that pain with defeat. Just because you're hurting doesn't mean you're finished. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth it. The truth is, nothing in this world can break you unless you hand over the hammer. So stop giving your power to people who didn't build you. Stop letting circumstances that are temporary make you forget the permanent greatness inside you. You gotta look at your struggle and say, you picked the wrong one. You gotta stare at your pain and say, you thought this was gonna stop me? Nah, this is just part of the process. Because if you live long enough, you're gonna realize the tough times, they pass. The pressure, it eases. But the strength you gain from holding on, that stays with you forever. So don't you shrink, don't you doubt yourself, don't you let the world tell you what you can't do. You weren't born to break, you were born to conquer. You were born to rise. You were born to lead. You were born to walk through fire and come out gold. You just gotta remember, nothing, and I mean nothing, can break you unless you decide to let it. And that right there is your power. Use it. At the end of the day, life is always going to try to shake you. It's going to throw you into situations that test your strength, your patience, your belief in yourself. But the truth is, you already have everything inside you to handle it. You don't need to beg for strength. You were born with it. What you need is the courage to use it. You gotta stop handing your power over to emotions, setbacks, disappointments, and people who don't see your worth. You gotta learn to stand tall in your pain, to walk forward in your loneliness, to rise above your weakness, and to turn every ounce of your struggle into your fuel. You are stronger than your worst day, tougher than your hardest trial, and far more capable than you even realize. Nothing out there is built to break you, not when you know who you are. So hold your head up, walk like you've already won, and never let anything or anyone make you forget that you were born to endure, built to overcome, and destined to rise.